In this video, we're going to learn about another important skill with percentages, expressing one amount as a percentage of another. Before we get on to that, here's the question right from the start of the last video. I'd like you to pick up a pen and a piece of paper and to try this question. Try really hard, pause the video now and see if you can answer this question. Do that now. Okay, hopefully the first thing you did, because you learned from the last video, was put together your building blocks on the side. Your building blocks here should have been these numbers. And how do we build 36%? I think 36% is going to be 3 lots of 10%, add 5%, add 1%. 30, 5 and 6. Yes, that's 36%. Well, let's put the money together. That's 450, add 450, add 450, add 225, add 45, and then we can add these up. We get 15, 17, 21, 22, carry the 2, 4 is 12, 14, 16. So the answer is 1,620. Big well done if you got that. If you weren't too confident, maybe you want to flick back to the last video and give it another go. But I'm going to carry on now to today's lesson here. What's different about this question? Have a look. So last video, I gave you the percent and asked you a percentage of a thing. Now we're sort of going backwards. I've given you the answer of 60 and said, what percentage of 80 is 60? Well, if this block is 80, then I think this block would be 60. Have a look at why. If the brown one is 80, then the green one is 60. And what percentage of the brown one is the green one? If the brown one is 100%, what's the green one? Have a think. Okay, if the brown one is 100%, then the red one would be 25%, and it would be 75%. It's the same as 3/4. And so 75% of 80 is 60. Now we did that with the blocks there, but you're going to need to know how to do these calculations on paper so you can do any one of these calculations. For that, I'm actually going to hand you over to Mr. Thomas here, because he's got a really good explanation of it. He uses the idea that percent means out of 100.
And a type of question that you may get asked is to write the following amounts as a percentage. So the first example we're going to do is 14 out of 20. And what I'm going to do to start off with is write these two numbers as a fraction. So 14 over 20, or 14 out of 20. Now percentage actually means out of or per 100. So I need to make this fraction out of 100. So I know that's going to be out of 100 in my second fraction. So what do I need to do to my denominator to get from 20 to 100? Well, I need to times by 5. So I need to do the exact same thing to my numerator. So I need to times by 5, and 14 multiplied by 5 is 70. So now we've got a fraction out of 100. We've got 70 out of 100. And therefore, as a percentage, that is simply 70%. So as soon as we've got a fraction with 100 on the bottom, then whatever my numerator is, that's the percentage. So I could say that 14 is 70% of 20. Okay, example number 2. Let's do 75 out of 300. So the first thing I'm going to do is write 75 out of 300 as a fraction. And I want to get to a fraction where I've got 100 on the bottom. Well, what do I need to do to get from 300 to 100? Well, I need to divide by 3. So I need to do the exact same thing to my numerator. The top of my fraction, I need to divide by 3 as well. And 75 divided by 3 is 25. So now I've got a fraction with 100 on the bottom, and my numerator is 25, so I could write this as 25%. So in other words, 75 is 25% of 300.
What I really like about Mr. Thomas's explanation is that his workings look exactly the same for both questions. I've got these here now for you to try. I've started off the first one for you, so you just need to fill in the top number there and then what it's equal to, what percentage it's equal to. So pause the video and try these questions yourself. Give that a go now. Hopefully you've started to have a go at these, had a really good go at them. I'm actually only going to give you the first 4 answers first. For the first 4, you should have got those. Check those and then pause the video again and have a go at the other 3 if you haven't already. Okay, I'm coming back. The answers to the other ones. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Those are the answers to the other ones. Well done. If you got all of those, mark your work and give yourself some ticks if you got them right. You may have noticed that the last 3 were all exactly the same percentage. They were different numbers, but it turned out that they were the same percentage. Hopefully you noticed that. All right, well done for doing that. We need to be able to tackle some slightly harder ones now. Questions like this don't look a lot different, but require a little bit more working to do. Again, I'm going to hand over to this guy to explain.
So now we're going to move on to some examples that are slightly trickier. So let's do 12 out of 30. And I'm still going to write my 2 numbers as a fraction, so 12 over 30 or 12 out of 30. But this time, 30 doesn't easily go into 100. If I do 30 times 3, well, that's 90, but 30 times 4 is 120, so it's not going to be easily multiplied to make 100. So this time I need a middle step. I need a different fraction in here before I make it into 100. So what I need here as my denominator of this middle fraction is a number that goes into both 30 and 100. So what number goes into 30 and 100? Well, I could use 10. 10 definitely goes into 30 and 100. So now this is just a middle step. So first of all, what do I need to do to get from 30 to 10? Well, I need to divide by 3. So I need to do the same thing to my numerator. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. So a different way of writing 12 out of 30 is 4 out of 10. And now I can multiply my 10 by 10 to get 100. So I need to do the same thing to my numerator. I need to times by 10. And this would give me 40. So now I've got a fraction out of 100. So I can write this as 40%. So really similar here, just with a middle fraction, a middle step before I can get to my fraction with 100 on the bottom as my denominator. So I'm going to do one more example for this part of the lesson, and I'm going to do 99 out of 150. So this time I can't simply divide 150 by a number to get 100, so I'm going to need to do a middle step before I get to my fraction over 100. So again, what number goes into both 150 and 100? Well, I could use 10, I could use 25, but I'm going to use 50. So first of all, what do I need to do to get from 150 to 50? Well, I need to divide by 3. So I'm going to divide my numerator by 3 as well. And 99 divided by 3 is 33. And then to get from 50 to 100, well, I need to times by 2. So I need to also times my numerator by 2, which will give me 66. So 66 out of 100, I could say, is 66%. So 99 is 66% of 150. Now it's worth pointing out that in all of my steps here, getting from one fraction to another, I've always used times or divide. I can't add or subtract to get from one fraction to another. I always need to multiply or divide.
Thank you again, Mr. Thomas. He's good, isn't he? I've got these questions for you to practice now, and as before, I've started off the first two for you. This one's A and this one's B. So all you need to do is copy this out and fill in some blanks, and then say what the percentages are at the end. Again, pause the video and do those yourself. Right, here come the answers. The last two were quite tricky. 3, 2, 1. There are all the answers. A huge well done if you got any of those, and an even bigger well done if you got all the way to the end. Hopefully you're now fairly confident with what to do there. If you're not, maybe take a break and come back to it. Well done for getting to the end of the video. That was some great percentages practice.